Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on MisplacedStraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest today is the original guitarist of just one of my favorite bands. They've been putting out consistently great music since the mid-'90s and remain one of the great live bands to come out of that era. They have a new record coming out August 12th called Vibrating, and they're currently on the road with Switchfoot. From Collective Soul, please welcome Dean Roland. Welcome, Dean.
Hey, Jeff. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thanks for talking. So let's start with Vibrating. It's the band's first full record since 2019's Blood, and Collective Soul tends to go about 3 or 4 years between records. Did the pandemic have any impact on the timing of Vibrating, or would it have come out now regardless of what went on?
It definitely had an impact on that. We had probably planned to release it last year. Probably would have been the most ideal thing. You know, normally you make a record, you release it, you go on tour, promote it. It all works in conjunction with each other. And obviously the pandemic kind of put a wrinkle in all of that stuff. So we did tour for a couple of years, and yeah, we'd been sitting on this record. We were so proud of it, but we used it to the pandemic time to. We couldn't tour, but we actually went in the studio and made 2 more records in the process. So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And now on Vibrating, the song Back Again was also on the 2020 EP Half and Half. So were those songs some like new things, or was that some stuff left over from Blood, or some stuff that was supposed to be on Vibrating?
Well, when we started the Blood sessions, initially we wanted to do a double album. We had 2 records in mind. We felt like we had enough material, and we were just in that zone. But we ended up just reconsidering that notion and released Blood, and Vibrating was the second half of that record. But initially it was going to be like, one album was kind of like the rock type mindset, and one was going to be more orchestration, vibier, and we ended up just like splitting it off and just pairing up the songs that kind of had sonically paired up together the best.
And now the 2 singles that you guys have released already, All Our Pieces and Cut the Cord, have been really well received by fans. And I mean, the record's really strong top to bottom. And for me, tracks like Undone and Take, Conversation With, all have that classic Collective Soul vibe to them. And while a lot of your peers from the 90s are just kind of, out there playing the hits and don't bother taking a chance to record new music, how important is it to you guys as a band to not only put out new music, but make sure it lives up to the legacy of your past?
It's essential to us. I mean, it keeps our energy, our passion, all that stuff. And the reason why we do what we do is to create, right? And, and going out and playing, the old hits and all that stuff is absolutely fantastic. It's a treat to be able to do it every night, and every night's a new adventure, so to speak. But like to keep it interesting from a creative perspective, it's essential for us to keep making new music. And fortunately, it's been feeling good for the past few years. And when it's happening, you go with it, roll with it.
And like a lot of bands that have been around as long as you have, Collective Soul has seen some turnover in membership, but Vibrating's now the 3rd record with this lineup. And you guys are always on the road. Does playing live with new members really help create kind of more of a comfort when you get to the studio together?
Yeah, of course. I think, the more you play with anybody, it's kind of, you get more comfortable. You're going one way or the other. You're going to get closer or further apart. And with Jesse and Johnny, Will and myself, like we've really feels really good. Like we've done more of the growing closer together, and just playing live. Like you learn the nuances of how each other plays and what each other gravitates towards creatively and sonically. So yeah, it's a huge part.
And speaking of playing live, you guys are currently on the road with Switchfoot. Like so, I'll be covering your show in Webster, Mass. coming up. And how's the summer run going? Are you seeing any difference in terms of the crowd or the energy, post-pandemic, or is it kind of back to what it used to be?
Interesting question. It feels a little bit, and maybe it's just me, and because we haven't been, but it feels like there's some excitement in terms of people want to get out and just experience things that they used to experience that they haven't been able to in some time. So it feels like that, and I don't know if it's in my head or but it feels great. We're having a lot of fun with it, and people that are coming to the shows seem to be enjoying it as well. Like it's just a good little 2 or 3 hour escapism.
And you guys have been doing this for just about 30 years now. I mean, does it ever surprise you when you think back that, you, Ed, and Will are still together doing this after, close to 30 years?
Right. Yeah. I mean, when we set out, we always said, like, when we first got signed to Atlantic Records 28 years ago, like, you win the lottery. And then to have some continued success, you got to keep winning the lottery, essentially. And that was our goal early on, was to just, make a career out of this thing versus, like, be a one-hit wonder or just a flash in the pan type thing. So we've always taken it very serious and with a lot of gratitude. And fortunately, we've been able to, make a career out of it. And we love what we do. It's our passion. Music is what we love, and that's the shared theme between the three of us and the five of us, really. It's just how much we love music and how much we appreciate being able to do it for a living.
When you look back at that history, I mean, over the past couple of years, the band's been putting out just these incredible vinyl reissues of the early records. Discipline Breakdown just came out this past record store day. And I got to say, the sound on those reissues has been amazing. You guys have done a great job on them.
Hey, cool. I'm glad you appreciate that.
The digital versions have some really cool bonus material and full live shows. And when you listen back to that stuff, that bonus material, the live shows, and you hear some of the songs that you may not have played a lot since then, like A Collection of Goods or Crowded Head, When the Water Falls. Does it ever make you think about pulling out some of those rarities or going back and, doing the thing a lot of bands do, where revisit the record in its entirety?
Well, we did that. It's been several years back. We did Dosage, a record in entirety. I enjoy doing that. It is absolutely trip down memory lane because we pick and choose because we have. I think this is Vibrating our 11th album, so there's a lot of songs to choose from, and there's certain ones that we know that we have to play every night. Right. Not and have to is I'd say that. The notion of enjoy too. But you want there's certain ones that we know that we want to play. But you go down and mix it up. And we releasing Discipline Breakdown on vinyl. I actually went back and just I haven't listened to that record in its entirety in a very, very long time. But certain songs we would on and off, but there's one song on there in particular called Maybe, and I'm like, I think that that one sticks out to me and it touches me lyrically. So yes, the short answer is yeah. Yeah,
and when it comes to kind of putting your sets together and, like that. There's a couple bands from your era, I think of like you guys, maybe the Goo Goo Dolls and the Verve Pipe, that really put together a live set that's based on your whole career, not just those, first few records. And this tour, you guys are playing tracks from Blood, from Youth, of course, the new record. Mm-hmm. Is it also important for you as a band to show that you've grown and evolved and that you're not just, as you said, you didn't want to be a one-hit wonder. You're not just that band that had a couple of hits in that time frame.
Right. Yeah, I think, all of that's things that we probably do for ourselves, selfishly. Like yeah, we're still doing it. Yeah. And it's a lot of that stuff, because we're playing songs, a lot of these songs people haven't heard before. They heard World I Know in 1995 or something, and they come to the show. So we'll play that, but it is important, as an artist, as songwriters and musicians, to remind yourself that this is what you do and this is what you continue to do. So we love playing the new stuff.
Yeah, and like every other band, you guys had some extended time off the road with the pandemic. And one thing I've noticed, especially recently talking to bands as they're kind of coming out of that, there's this section of bands where they got re-energized from being off the road and, kind of realized how much they love doing it, want to get out there. And then there are the other ones where it's like, well, it wasn't so bad being at home, so maybe I'm going to kind of, slow it down a bit. Any sort of insights to collective souls thinking coming out of that?
I think ours was more wanting to get back out, to be honest. We all enjoyed it, the time being home. But like for me, I was 21 years old then. I've been out on the road playing music and being with my buddies. And in saying that, I have a 3-year-old daughter. So during the pandemic, I was able to be home so much of the time that I would not have been able to be had that not happened. So I enjoyed my time at home, and I love my family life. Saying that, I love being out on the road and playing music. So.
Yeah, and there have been a lot of bands with brothers, and it hasn't always worked out. You and Ed, I think, are definitely one of the exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Ed's lyrics get pretty personal. And as his brother, do you ever hear a lyric that he brings to you and are kind of surprised by something that maybe you didn't know he was going through? Is it a different dynamic when it's your brother bringing a personal lyric like that rather than a bandmate?
Yeah, it's different. A lot of it doesn't, in terms of lyrically, he's very clever in the way he uses lyrics. Mm-hmm. So that is always, I've always admired that aspect of it. So much of what he's writing, I'm just so close to him, so I kind of like, I can relate to it, whether it's something, he's going through or something he's observing. So that part, it doesn't really surprise me, but it's like I can just connect to it and relate to the aspect, because one of his real geniuses, like he's so good at just, he'll take a moment and then just encapsulate it in melody and words, which is I really admire him and his talents for that.
And now again, the record is Vibrating. It's out August 12th. Do you have a favorite track on the record?
It kind of bounces back and forth. In a lot of it, because we started playing some of the songs live, that weighs in on it. But if I have to have a personal favorite, it's either Rule Number 1 or Come Undone. One of those two songs. And Undone, we've been playing live recently, and it's so much fun to play. It's just it's one of those we were just talking about lyrically. it's a very vulnerable and kind of raw, emotional type song. So I really connected on it.
Great. We've been spending some time here with Dean Roland of Collective Soul. Again, the record is called Vibrating. It's out everywhere August 12th. They're on the road for the next few weeks with Switchfoot. And Dean, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. Can't wait to check you guys out coming up on Saturday. And we'll see you then. And best of luck with this record.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
My pleasure. Thanks. Bye.